Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since I have posted anything, but as usual I do want to continue doing my TBR game every month, and it is October now, so I need to decide what I'm going to be reading in the month of October. But first let me recap what I've been reading in the month of September. So the first book that I read is actually a novella, and it's called The Haunting of Tramcar 015, which is another novella set in the universe of the Jin universe, which is written by P. Jelly Clark. This is the full-size novel that's come out afterwards. It's called A Master of Jin. I'm really excited to read it, but I did want to read the novellas that predated first, and so I read A Legend in Cairo first, and now this month I've read The Haunting of Tramcar 015. So we are set in an alternate universe where some scientist a long time ago discovered a breach in the fabric of the universe and let in new, supernatural creatures such as jinns. And this is also happening in 1912 in Cairo, Egypt. So we have different main characters in the first novella and in the second one, but what I really enjoyed is that in the second one we have mentions and we actually see at some point the main character from the first novella that I had read. So that was really fun. It really creates this atmosphere of this is a universe that you're building. So all of our main characters that we've been following in these novellas, and I believe in this full novel as well, are members of this ministry called Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments and Supernatural Entities. So a ministry that takes care of all things supernatural, and it's kind of a lot of the time investigations of murder and things like that, but with a supernatural element. If anyone knows my taste in reading, they would know that's exactly what I love. Like, give me murder and give me magic, put them together, I am so happy. This is exactly the type of books that I adore. So I got really lucky and I had a very first good book this month, so I rated it 5 stars. Although I didn't read that many books this month, I think I ended up reading only 4, at least finished 4. I did rate most of them 5 stars and I think one of them 4 stars, so I actually had a really good reading month in terms of quality rather than in terms of quantity, so I'm pretty happy with my September month. The second book that I actually read was The Final Girl Support Group. So I had started that one in August, but I had to take a little break within it because it is quite heavy. So this is the book. I don't mean that it's heavy in terms of its size, but just in terms of the main character is a paranoid character, and it was really hard to read from her point of view at some point just because it was so tiring. I don't think there's any huge moments where it feels like we're talking about in-depth heavy topics. Like, it is a slasher. It's basically like a slasher book, kind of like Clown in a Cornfield, if you've read that one. It's perfect actually for October, I would say, because it's very much like watching a horror movie where all the characters are dying one by one, because that's the point of a final girl. The final girl is normally the remaining girl at the end of a horror movie. So this book considers that these final girls are a real thing, and we're kind of in our universe, but also it feels like an alternate universe because there's all these movies that have come out and these books that we're talking about that were actually linked to real life stories of real final girls, which in reality is not the case. But I did enjoy this. It was quite fun, fast-paced, and there were a few plot twists that I didn't see coming towards the end. The book itself talks about all of these girls in a support group where they go to therapy together, and then someone discovers the existence of the support group and kills them one by one. Our main character, Lynette, is the first one to realize that this is happening and the first one to try and warn the others, but she is kind of crazy and paranoid and no one believes her. And there's a few moments in the book like this, which reminds me of the other book I read by Grady Hendrix, which was My Best Friend's Exorcism, where similar things happen to the main character where no one believes her, and then towards the end everyone's like, I'm so sorry, I doubted you, you were right, or whatever. And I kind of feel like this is kind of his brand. This is the way that he writes characters where this happens to them. So it got a little bit frustrating at a couple of points, but I think that was good writing. I did enjoy that. I would just say that it was a little bit tiring to read only this book, and that's why I had to take a small break, because when you read from the point of view of a paranoid character, it's so fast-paced but in a tiring way, in a nothing ever stops being worrying way. And as much as I thought it was well done, I also needed to read something more lighthearted at the same time. But I did enjoy it and I ended up rating it 4 stars. The next book that I picked up was Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. This is the second novella in a series of novella called The Murderbot Diaries, and we're following, it's obviously sci-fi, we're following this entity. I think it's an AI technically. It's called a sec unit because it's a security unit, and it calls itself Murderbot. It overrode its protocols a long time ago and is able to do whatever it wants without having to obey the orders of humans that own it. And basically it decided to continue obeying them in the first book and just pretend like nothing was wrong until some incident happened. The sec unit in question was on a mission somewhere with a bunch of scientists, and then an event happened and it had to tell the truth. But in this book we follow the sec unit as it tries to discover more about its past, because it calls itself Murderbot for a reason. At some point around the time that it became free of its protocols, it had to kill quite a lot of humans and I think other bots and things like that. So it's not very clear when we start going in the first book exactly what happened, but we do know something traumatic happened in its past and it led to itself being free of its protocols. So in this second book we kind of explore this, and I thought it was so fun, so interesting. I love this character and this POV so much. It's basically super sarcastic and doesn't want the company of humans, actually likes humans but wants to be left alone. It's got like social anxiety and kind of all it wants to do is watch TV shows that it has downloaded onto its system. So love this book so much, really enjoyed it, and really want to get to the next novellas as fast as possible. Oh yeah, and no surprise there, I rated it 5 stars. Then the next book that I read was actually The Fixer by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is kind of a teenager Veronica Mars type of story where our main character moves town with her sister. Her sister is considered this big fixer in the political world. She moves to Washington DC, I should precise. And our main character Tess does not know that her sister is big until she goes to this new school and she's told that her sister is called a fixer, aka she fixes all of these powerful people's problems, whatever the problem is. And Tess actually kind of starts accidentally becoming the same thing for the other kids in her school at her new high school, where all the kids of the politicians and powerful people go. So this was really fun, super fast paced. I enjoyed myself greatly. I read this in one go. Like I literally read this book in one day. It was just so good. I obviously rated it 5 stars. I feel like every book that I have picked up by Jennifer Lynn Barnes I love. Is just exactly my brand of, you know, things that I enjoy. And I used to be such a huge fan of Veronica Mars, and the fact that it really reminds me of that was a plus, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of the last book that I actually finished last month. However, to try and not disappoint you guys, I will specify that I have started the other 2 books that were on my TBR. The first one being The Greek Coffin Mystery by Ellery Queen. I'm 100 pages in and there's 280 pages or so in this book. I think I will finish it this month. I'm not gonna give up. I am reading it at the same time as my brother, so I'm definitely not gonna stop reading this one. And then the other book that I picked up was The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. This is well, I didn't really know what it was originally. This is basically a romance set in Victorian times, like historical romance style, but it has a fantastical element to it where a long time ago some woman basically found this spell that allows her to make houses float and fly, and so she started this society of pirates, lady pirates, who all make their houses fly like their ships, basically. And our main character is kind of a pirate princess in a way, because her parents were both famous in that universe, and she can't wait for herself to become officially a part of this Wisteria Society, because she's not been given the official like title yet or anything like that because she's too young. And she becomes really excited when someone is sent to assassinate her, because that means she's starting to make it big. And obviously the assassin is very handsome and some sparks start flying. So this is super fun. I am about 150 pages in, so I have less than a half left. So I will definitely finish this quite soon, probably even this weekend. So I want to count this technically as part of the month of September, but I can't because we're already in October. It's already the 3rd, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I am enjoying this book and definitely will finish it as well. Which means that I have actually 2 books to finish this month in October before I start reading other books. But I am still gonna play my usual game and play Books Against Humanity with my little card set and decide what other books I shall be reading in the month of October. So if you're new here, go and check out the first videos where I started playing this game. I always explain the rules at the beginning anyway, but basically this is a game that is loosely based around Cards Against Humanity. Here's the back of the pack where I've written the rules down. So just like Cards Against Humanity, there's 2 sets of cards in this. One is yellow and one is turquoise in my game, and the turquoise ones are question cards, so they have a blank to fill in, and the yellow ones have the answers to fill in that blank with. So let's take an example that works. So for instance, if I had this question card that said, "A cover that witch," I could fill it with this answer card that says, "Has blue on it." I tend to give myself a hand of 4 or 5 cards and then pick a question, fill it with my answers, and whenever I use an answer, I pick another card to always have the same number of cards in my hand, basically. So let me start shuffling the cards. Here's me shuffling the question ones. Let's shuffle the answer cards. So I'm gonna give myself 4 cards this time, and I'm probably not gonna go over that just because I have 2 books to finish as well this month. I always end up giving myself more cards and then I tend to not read that many books anyway. So let's just be honest with myself here and just do 4 cards. So my answer cards are, is the highest rated on my TBR, then matches my outfit, here we go. Then I have without knowing much about the story as my next answer card. And then finally the last one is I almost got rid of. So the rule is also that if I want to swap any card at any point, I have to swap my whole hand for a whole new hand. And I need to use it at least once before swapping again. But I am allowed to swap multiple times, although I've never actually have done this in the past. So yeah, the first question is, an author who that. So that doesn't work with a lot of things. Could be an author I almost got rid of, as in I only have 1 book by this author and I almost got rid of that book. Or could be an author that is the highest rated on my TBR. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to loosely interpret this card just because I don't have much that would actually work with it. So I'm gonna work with an author who is the highest rated on my TBR. And I'm just gonna grab whatever book is the highest rated on my TBR, because unless I have more than 1 book by this same author, and then I can check, but I think it's gonna be hard to compare it to all the other authors I have on my shelves right now, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. Just checking on my laptop right now, I think the highest rated that I've got is actually The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. It says 4.61 stars on Goodreads. So it is this book, it's The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. It's the 2nd book in the Thursday Murder Club, which I read last year, quite enjoyed. It's very slow paced, so don't read it if you want fast paced thrillers. It's more a cozy thriller. So I think it's actually a genre called cozy murder, and it's basically whenever you have people in a small village or something and some crime happens and things are quite slow, you never really see much blood and it's not very gory at all. So this is exactly this genre, and in the first book we follow a bunch of old people who are old in this retirement village somewhere in England, and they're all fascinated with true crime and unsolved cases, and one day an actual murder happens on their doorstep. This is the 2nd book, so I do really want to read this, and I bought this super recently because it only came out I think last month, so this is perfect. I think I'm going to be reading this book this month. Okay, so I need to pick a new answer card, which is going to be, I pick at random from my physical bookshelves by using a randomized number system. So my next question is, mood read, I'm gonna skip because that's too easy when I only have 4 cards. Let's do a genre that which. Well, I really don't have anything that works with that. Fuck! I really like that last card and I wanted to use it, but now I feel like I have to swap my whole hand because nothing works with a genre. I can't pick a genre at random, can I? Like, that doesn't really work. Okay, I'm gonna have to swap my hand. So I'm getting rid of all 4 cards. This is gonna work better. So my new cards are, has a title in 1 word, out of fear of missing out, is set in the past. And finally is the same as, similar to the last one I read. I think a genre that is the same as the last one I read is gonna work perfectly, and that's probably what I'm gonna do. So let's pick this prompt, a genre that is the same as the last one I read. The last book I finished is a YA novel. It is a thriller, is it? Let me check. The fixer is classified as young adult, mystery, contemporary, thriller. These are the top genres that it's put in. I don't know if young adult is technically a genre, I would say that's more a category, but I could technically try and find another young adult mystery or young adult thriller, and I think that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, I know what I'm going to be picking. Although there's another book that I really want to pick, I think this is going to be more practical for me. I'm going to be reading The Cousins by Karen McManus. This is also young adult and this is also mystery. And this is a lone book because she's been writing the series that starts with One of Us is Lying. I don't know how many books there are in total. She's got 2 out. I don't know whether there's any more coming. I know there's a TV show coming. But anyway, she's also written some standalones. This is the second one called The Cousins. It says here everything you need to know about this book. Secrets, lies, inheritance. Family first, always, right? So this is everything you need to know just by looking at the cover. I think this is gonna work great because I started this book a really long time ago before I moved flats and everything, and I only read 50 pages of it, but basically I think I was reading it with a friend and both of us were in a reading slump and we ended up not continuing this book through no fault of the book itself, because the writing is nice and flowy and everything. I think we were just in a life slump around that time. So I'm gonna pick up this book again and actually finish it this time. Okay, so now I need a new answer card, which is going to be, is illustrated? Well, let's hope that we actually have one that is a cover. Next question. A book that which? Nice and easy and vague. Okay, I have found the book that I want to use, and it's gonna be, technically it works with 2 things. It could either be a book that is set in the past or a book that has title in one word, but I'm gonna use that, the title in one word part. Here we go. I'm gonna answer it with Frankenstein. I've owned this for so freaking long and I've never read it. And this is October. This is finally Halloween month where this book comes up. Perfect timing, is just everything falling into place. I'm gonna read freaking Frankenstein. The new answer card. I do not own physically yet. New question card is, that's a wild card, let's ignore this. New question card is a young adult novel that which? So another young adult this month. So it could be a young adult novel that I do not own physically yet, which I have one in mind already. Could be one set in the past, or a young adult novel that is illustrated. Yeah, let's see what I've got. Okay, let's go back to Goodreads. My computer is like right there behind the camera, which is why I'm angling it that way. Okay, so I think I'm definitely gonna go with a young adult novel that I do not own physically yet, because there is one in particular that works perfectly well for this. So the one book I'm thinking of is, I'm gonna put it here, it's called Tigers by M.A. Bennett. This is the 4th book in a series. I really want to buy it. I think it's literally just come out this year. I can't remember exactly when. And I finished last month or the month before, yeah, a couple of months before I finished the 3rd book in the series, so I'm ready to read the next one and very excited to do so. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the perfect 4th book for me. So that's it, that's my entire TBR. It's very short technically, just because I only own physically these 3. I need to own the 4th one very soon. I'm gonna buy it soon. I think I'm gonna go to Waterstones and buy it. So I've got The Man Who Died Twice, Frankenstein, The Cousins, Tigers, and then I need to finish these 2, so The Recoffin Mystery and The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment. I always try to respond. Consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.